Good evening, Mountaineer Nation, and welcome into the Mountaineer Effect. I'm your host, Marcus Dean, right here on Geek Gorilla TV on YouTube. So if you like what you see, please like and subscribe to the page below. We certainly would love your input. We'd love to hear from you. And make sure you like and subscribe to us on Facebook as well. We're on Facebook, so please check us out, Geek Gorilla TV on Facebook. And I'm here, as always, with my co-counterpart here, Mr. Sam, here with us. Man, I tell you what. West Virginia versus Texas. What's that? What's that old saying? Woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Dude, dude. I've been thinking about what to say about this, and you know, West Virginia, as I predicted, it was a defensive game. It was a low-scoring game. That was my prediction. I was almost exactly right on the score. I think I said 13-10, 17-13. So I'll pat myself on the back.
Yeah.
And that's more than I'm going to give Neil Brown this week. Let me tell you that. God. Let me get this out because it's been stewing and ruminating, and I think it's some toxicity that I need to get out.
Okay, go ahead.
The first half, Texas imposed their will. The defense stood strong, and that's good. That's what we needed.
I agree with.
In the second half, West Virginia was moving the ball. I feel like the whole second half, West Virginia was showing that they were going to be able to move the ball.
Right.
And I feel like they just blew it on the play calling. You know, there was a couple of bad calls on the refs' end. I dismissed those.
Because that's going to happen.
When it's 3rd and 1 inside like the 10, you don't throw to the back of the end zone.
No.
You just don't. No. You got one of the best rushers in the country because at that point, you've already made up your mind you're going to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
And in that case, you know that they did because they didn't kick the field goal after they got stopped on 3rd and 1.
Right.
So knowing that you're going to go for it on 4th down, I don't understand how you don't hand the ball off to Letty Brown, tell your horses to move their asses and make a hole. I don't understand how you don't do that. And then – you know, much less throw it on 3rd and 1 and then come back on 4th and 1 with almost, you know, the exact same play. And that's just the first time.
Yeah.
I feel like the play calling we've talked about it being bipolar. I think this week's show was the perfect prime example of why you don't split your play calling between the 20s, between two coaches. It's the exact reason why. And I put this totally on Neil, and I know he fell on his sword. I don't feel like he fell hard enough, to be completely honest with you. It's a game that West Virginia should have at least been within 1 point of Texas, at least.
Yeah.
Well, you know, no matter what happens after they kick that field goal, I don't know, but they should have at least been within 1 point.
Yep.
The defense played lights out. I mean, for the most part, the Stills brothers, you know, kind of didn't show up, but everybody picked up the slack.
Yeah.
It was a completely winnable game. It was a winnable game. It was the Murderers Row game that got away. And if they don't win but one more, it's deserving.
Yeah. Yes. Feel better now?
Little bit. It still stings. I mean, it still stings. You know it's been a long time since I've really pointed my finger at a coach and been like, you know, it may have been the West Virginia Pitt game with Rodriguez is the last time I pointed my finger at a coach and said, "You blew it, buddy, you blew it."
Yes, I do remember that one very, very, very well, but.
No, make me happy about it, Mark. Say something that's gonna lift my spirits.
Honestly, I don't know if this will lift your spirits. It kind of, to me, it made sense, but then again, it didn't make sense. In his press conference after the game, I will give Coach credit. He did fall on his sword and said this was not on anybody but him. I will give him that. He said you want to blame somebody for anything, you blame me. He said those two calls. He said he said, due to the analytics that coaches uses, the analytics chart, which take it with a pinch of salt. It's basically an analytics chart that the coaches use, and they have different situations for different things. And he said, according to the analytics said to go for it on both of those. But if I were coaching, and I'm sure if you were coaching, the best thing to do for that would be to kick the field goal in one of those things. That way you're only down by 1 point. So, it's 17-16. You don't know what can happen next. You don't know if it could score a touchdown, or you could kick another field goal and you're up 19-17. And the way our defense was playing, I mean, we could have held them for at least one series, maybe two. I mean, it's very possible.
Right. And I understand the analytics of the game. I do. But my criticism when it comes to the analytics is there was over 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
Calculate 4 minutes per possession.
Right.
You kick that field goal and you go down by 1, and Texas drives the length of the field, scores a touchdown. You're down by 8.
Yes.
With 1 possession left to go. So then you've got to drive the field, score, and convert.
Right.
If you don't, it's still just, it's still either an 8-point loss or an 8-point loss or a 1-point loss.
Yeah.
I don't know. The analytics to me should have just gone out the window, especially with that much time on the clock.
Yeah, I agree.
Take your points. You've watched me play Tecmo Super Bowl. You take your points. You always take the points.
I think this one, it was thinking a little bit too hard. I think he was trying so hard not to lose the game. I think I can't put words in his mouth or know what coach was thinking, but he was one of those things that was more like, I'm trying too hard not to lose, but not coaching to win, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, he's a young coach.
He is. And this is his 3 or 4 years at Troy, and he's been here with us. This is his second year with us. Technically, if you want to think about it, yeah, Troy is a Division I, but they're not a Power 5 conference.
Yeah,
so yes, he's been ahead, but
that's the thing. I mean, I love Neil. I do. I still love Neil, but I just want to kind of kick him in the berries for this one. What really got my gizzard after that game was watching his press conference, where I knew he would fall on the sword, but then he went back to the analytics and statisticals, and it's like, man, like, no, just own it, just own it. Say, in retrospect, we should have kicked that field goal and played the game from there, and he just, I don't know. I think they just screwed up. I don't know. Maybe he was out partying or something, and jet lagged or something. I don't know.
I don't know what it was, but I mean, the good thing was, if you think about it in retrospect, take away those 2, what we want to call moments. It was a good game. It was a good game. I wasn't disappointed in the effort. I wasn't disappointed in the way our offense or defense played. I mean, it was one of those, like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, the coulda, shoulda, woulda games. We've seen plenty of those.
Well, I will say this: the most impressive part of the game for me, by far, was Jerd Dagey.
Yeah,
had a great game. 35 of 50 for over 300 yards. We couldn't get the run game going, but when you've got a guy slinging the ball like that, stay out of the boundary, go on down the field.
Exactly.
The play calls in the end zone on those 3rd and 4th downs, I wasn't too hot on throwing to the back of the end zone, because to me, for a Dagey, that's like throwing to the boundary. If you don't get the ball the right height, the right speed, you're going to overthrow everybody. And
but I will say one thing about our running game, Lady Brown did get hurt in the first or second series of the game. So that kind of really slowed his progress and slowed his hinders. But yeah, he still stayed in the game. But I mean, as far as him playing this week, we'll get into a little bit later on in the broadcast when we talk about TCU. Did get some information about that, if he's going to be able to go against TCU or not. Leah, let's jump on board to the TCU side of the ball. With TCU, watching them, they're kind of like mirror images of WVU. They're kind of sort of in that same you know cast as the Texas Tech, the Kansas State, TCU, kind of that middle of the pack type of the Big 12, where we should beat. We almost have to beat because we're in the murderous row part of our schedule in order for us to get to that magical, 5-5, 6-4, or 7-3, situation, because we definitely don't want to end up 4-6 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, TCU, I mean, that's a perfect way to put it. I mean, it's a mirror image game. TCU, just like West Virginia, I think they could beat anybody on any given weekend, and they
Yeah,
could lose to anybody on any given weekend.
exactly.
They have the ability to move the ball. Their defense is pretty solid. It just depends a lot on who shows up. I think I have to give the edge to West Virginia just because TCU's coming to West Virginia, and it's always
Yeah.
hard to travel up to Motown and play. And
Yep.
coming from Texas Christian University, that's a long ways away, and it's a hard adjustment. So on that front, I have to kind of give them the edge.
Yeah, I mean they do have a good quarterback in Max Dugan, but him and Deggy's are basically on the same schedule, but I think Deggy has a little bit slighter in the edge. Not because he's a West Virginia, but Deggy is a little bit better in terms of his development. But this, like I said, this is like we said a couple weeks ago. Kansas State was a must-win game. I think this is another must-win game for the Ears because this is one of the ones we have to get. Whether it's by 30 or if it's by 3 or by 1, we have to get this. We must find a way to win this game against TCU. I mean, this is one of those ones we have to pull a W out for sure, because then we're off next week. Then we have Oklahoma coming to town. Then we finish up at Iowa State. So we got to figure out somehow, maybe, to me, if we could somehow get 2, or out of the last three we got left, if we can get 2, I would jump for joy for these boys if we could somehow get 2.
Well, and I think coming off a loss last week that's so gutting, because I'm sure the players were gutted too to lose a game. Anytime you lose a close game, it gets you pretty bad, and don't matter why or how you lose, Neil. Sorry, but it gets you a little bit. So I think they're going to be a little hungry this week. I really think the Mountaineers are going to pull this one out.
Yeah.
You got any bold predictions for this week?
So this is gonna be more on Deggy and the wide receivers to not drop the football. But I mean, and my bold prediction is definitely gonna be if Letty's a go, and if he can play, I say we win by 10. But if Letty's not available and he can't play, I think we'll still win. But it's gonna be another low scoring, gutsy. I'm thinking 20-13, 20-17 type ball game.
My bold prediction for the week. I think this is going to be. I know we've talked about Daggy's coming out partying. I think he's already showed that, but I think this could be a week where Jerd goes to the next level.
Okay.
Where he really elevates his game and he shows that he can elevate his game. I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to do that, especially if Letty's not going to be playing. I look for him to sling the ball all over the field.
Except for the boundary.
Except to the boundary. I think he'll throw for over 400 yards, probably 3 touchdowns. The betting line, West Virginia 3-point favorite.
Okay.
And the over/under is 47. So for you guys, you guys are going to be betting that would make the score 26.5 to 20.5. I'm going to go a little further than that on my prediction. I think the score is going to be 34-21. I think West Virginia is going to get off to an early lead and coast. I think that TCU will struggle. I think like I said, I think Daigie's going to have a day. I think it's time for him to take a step. Let's take a
next
step up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I could definitely agree with that. In closing tonight's broadcast, I think this is a must win. Like we were talking earlier, we got to somehow find a way to get this one. If you want to catch the game, it's today. The kickoff's at noon, and it's going to be on your local Fox affiliate. Thank you guys for watching tonight's broadcast. We certainly appreciate it. But once again, if you had not got a chance to view our videos before, please like and subscribe to the channel below. We'd definitely love to have you. This has been Marcus Dean and Sam with the Mountaineer Effect. Let's go, Mountaineers.